Здравствуйте, доброе утро. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to be going over a couple of the early topics in Unit 9 today. So, урок 9, да. Что мы будем есть? What will we eat? So the topic of this chapter is food, eating, a whole bunch of things related to that. And today I'm going to be talking about two things. First of all, the verbs to eat and drink, right? And then our final grammar case, which is number 6 out of 6, right? It's the instrumental case. Okay, so those are the two topics for today's video. Hopefully relatively short video. If you haven't introduced yourself, familiarized yourself with Unit 9 yet, you need to do that before you watch this. Otherwise, it won't make as much sense. Definitely read the introduction to the chapter as is assigned. Look at the beginning and then start to look at the food vocabulary on 312 to 314. A lot of vocabulary to work with this chapter and to memorize, so definitely get started on that. All sorts of fruits, vegetables. We have drinks, bread, meat, fish, poultry, entrees, toppings and spices, soups, dairy products, breakfasts, appetizers, and desserts. So a whole bunch of different categories, a whole bunch of different types of food. So definitely put, some time into that before you watch this video. Okay, so for today, we're going to talk about our first two grammar topics of the chapter. So numbers 1 and 2, this is on page 323 through 326 or so. Okay. So we have the verbs to eat and to drink. Let's see how the book breaks this down for us. Page 323. So the verb, sorry, I just want to make sure you can hear me here. The verb есть, to eat, is one of only 4 truly irregular verbs in Russian. Use it to talk about eating a specific food. To express eat breakfast, eat lunch, and eat dinner, we already have these 3 verbs from previous chapter: завтракать, обедать, ужинать. Right? But if we want to say eat like a food, then we say есть. Why is it irregular? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. It's basically the conjugation pattern of this verb есть is irregular. Okay. The verb pít, to drink, has a normal conjugation pattern, but note that there is a soft sign in the middle of all the forms. So we'll look at that in a minute. So let's read these together. Start learning the conjugation of each of these verbs. We have есть, to eat, and пить, to drink. Now let's start with есть. Я ем, ты ешь, он ест, мы едим, вы едите, они едят. And one more time. Я ем, ты ешь, он ест, мы едим, вы едите, они едят. And if we want to say in the past tense, which we always need to know as well, he ate, он ел, она ела, они ели. And then we have the verb. So if you take a look at this, you'll notice, why is this irregular? Why does the book tell us this is irregular? Well, it goes ем, ешь, ест, but then it changes here. Едим, едите, едят. So it doesn't follow any fixed conjugation pattern. So, I mean, there are different similarities to the normal conjugations we can see, right? The T form's a yesh, the мы the form ends in an M, we form ends in tia, but there's still some unusual things going on with this verb. So, with any verb, you want to write it out many times, use a flashcard, however it works for you to learn the different forms, especially the ones that are irregular and don't fall into the typical first or second conjugation pattern. Okay, so jest. So for example, if we want to say, I eat, я ем пиццу, я часто ем пиццу. I often eat pizza. And here we're using the I form because it's I ем. Да? Oops, sorry guys, I hit the wrong button. Shoot. Let's go back. I think it's 323. Yeah. So я часто ем пиццу. Ты каждый день ешь овощи? Do you every day eat vegetables? Do you eat vegetables every day? Right? So ешь, ты ешь, and so on. Okay. Вчера мы ели гамбургеры. Yesterday we ate, past tense, hamburgers. Вчера мы ели гамбургеры. Okay, so that's our verb есть, да? How about pить, to drink? Повторите, пожалуйста. Я пью, ты пьешь, он пьет, мы пьем, вы пьете, они пьют. So this is standard conjugation pattern here, but it has a soft sign in the right after the p, right? So just pay attention to that you need to have a soft sign there. He drank, she drank, they drank. Он пил, она пила, они пили. Okay, so for example, we could say, каждый день я пью воду. I drink water every day, right? Я пью. Ты пьешь вино? Do you drink wine? Моя мама пьет сок утром. My mom drinks juice in the morning. Okay, so я пью, ты пьешь, мама пьет, etc. All right, so again, one more time, we have our two verbs. And as always with verbs, there's the infinitive form, which is the dictionary form, and it's also used jest and pít, right? It's also used, for example, if you say it with something like to like or love. So, for example, я люблю есть пиццу. I like to eat pizza. So when you say like, you use two verbs in a row, right? A verb phrase. The first one's conjugated. The second one is an infinitive form. Just like in English, if we say I like to eat, we don't say I like I eat. So we don't conjugate the second verb as well as the first one, right? So я люблю plus the люблю plus the infinitive form. So я люблю есть пиццу. Ты любишь пить пиво? Do you like to drink beer? So again, here's the infinitive form. Oops. Pít. Do you like to drink, infinitive, beer? Right, so pít. Jest and pít. By the way, you may be thinking somewhere in the back of your mind, well, this word jest we've seen a lot already. Now that is just that's a false friend or a coincidence. There is the word jest, у меня есть, right? For example, у меня есть новая машина. I have a new car. And here this есть is the present tense verb to be, which usually drops out in Russian, as we know. So, but in certain constructions and certain forms, we use it. That is the verb to be or is, right? This verb jest, to eat, has nothing to do with that verb. They just happen to look the same in this one form, but they conjugate totally differently, and they're totally different verbs. It's kind of like saying which versus which in English. They're two different words. They sound the same, or something like that, right? So anyway, it's just a coincidence. Just wanted to point that out, that this is not the same verb as that, even though they, in this one form, they look the same. Okay. All right. So if we want to try these verbs out, how about we do 9-10? Take 3 minutes at least and do about the, how about the odds, the odd numbers, and then we'll take a look together and see what you came up with. And of course, this is going to likely require, or will go well with going back to, what is it, 314, 312, that the vocab, but for the food vocabulary at the beginning of the chapter. You can feel free to flip back and reference that and use that vocabulary to answer these questions. So for example, number 1, what do you usually eat for breakfast? Что ты обычно ешь на завтрак? Я обычно, I usually eat, я обычно ем or actually better word order here would be на завтрак. Я обычно ем. And then we need to say the things we eat, right? So for example, я обычно ем кашу, oatmeal, и йогурт. I don't think yogurt's on the list there, but that's okay. So, and what do you notice here? The thing that you eat is the direct object. So it goes in the accusative case. These are both in the accusative case. This one's masculine, so it doesn't change, but this one does change. All right, so take 2-3 minutes and answer the odds here. Go ahead and hit pause. Okay, now that you've done that, let's take a look at what you came up with. Do a few of these together, just for compare what your result was. Что ты любишь есть и пить на обед и на ужин? А на ужин? На обед я люблю есть салат и мясо. И пить воду или колу. There's the word cola. It's like soda. So for lunch, I like to eat salad and meat, and to drink water or cola or pop soda. Okay. Номер 5. Что ты ел вчера вечером? Вчера вечером я ел... I don't remember. Я ел макароны, паста и салат. Okay. Американцы никогда не. Американцы никогда не. Никогда. Americans never. I don't know. Никогда не едят. Something. Борщ. Something specifically Russian. Americans never eat borscht because we just don't have it, right? So here we use the they form of едят. Here we use the past, ел. And we put the thing in the accusative case, but this case it's a masculine noun, so it doesn't need to change. So Americans never eat. They, that's the they form, right? Борщ. They never drink. Они никогда не пьют. Ой. Kefir. It's not actually true, but it's pretty rare. Kefir is like a yogurt drink that Russians drink. They never drink kefir. Они никогда не пьют kefir. And here, pьют is the they form, right? Because we're talking about Americans. They. Okay, how about number 9? Мне нравится, что американцы... it's not very interesting. How about... look for one that is more interesting. Uh, Okay, we'll do number 8. Студенты редко, students rarely. Students rarely eat caviar. Студенты редко едят икру. So that's the day form of eat. Студенты едят, да? Students rarely, редко едят. And the word ikra, which means it's one of our words in the food section, right? It's good Russian appetizer food, caviar. Students usually don't eat that because it's kind of expensive, right? So ikro, ikro. So ikra goes to ikru because it's the object of the verb. Okay, хорошо. So those are our two verbs, right? We're going to use those a lot this chapter, to eat and to drink. So definitely put some time into to memorizing those very well and getting comfortable using them. Okay. All right. Our second topic for today, our final topic for today, is just a quick introduction to the instrumental case. Okay. Now, before we read this breakdown that the book gives us, let me give you a couple overview points from me. First of all, this is now the 6th case out of 6. So the 6th final case that we're learning this year in Russian, right? We have learned nominative, prepositional, usative, genitive, dative, and now we're getting into our final one, instrumental. And we've talked about how every grammar case in Russian applies to nouns and adjectives only. Okay, it doesn't affect verbs, it doesn't affect adverbs, doesn't affect prepositions, it just affects nouns and adjectives, right? So we always learn the noun endings and the adjective endings, and each case basically tells us what the role of the word is in the sentence. So for nominative, we know it deals mainly with subjects. All 6 cases have multiple uses. Let me just make that clear. But usually each one has its kind of like most important use or most prominent use. So subjects of the sentence, nominative. But it's also used, for example, with predicate nominatives. We've talked about that. And if you don't remember what that is or don't know what that is, look that up. It's a pretty straightforward concept, actually. But predicate nominative. So anyway, all the cases are used with multiple things. But prepositional is used with location primarily, but not only. Accusatives used mainly with direct objects, but also used with verbs of motion, right, to the destination you're going to. So again, multiple uses. Genitive is used mainly with possession, right, but it's also used with lack or absence, numerals, right. So again, multiple uses, but I think it helps to really know the primary use well. That way you can it helps you to memorize it, to remember what it does, right? Dative is indirect objects first and foremost, right? So to whom, for whom, okay? But it's also used with the verb to like, nравится, and other age, other things. Okay. Now, what is the instrumental use for? That's our topic for today. It's pretty straightforward. Now, it's used in the meaning usually of with. And this makes sense because think about it. If you're using an instrument, for example, if you're writing with a pencil, that's an instrument you're using, right? Or you're cutting with scissors, or you're chiseling with a hammer, or cutting with a saw. Those are all instruments. That's why it's called the instrumental case. And you're using the phrase with. So anytime but the key thing to know is that it's not just with instruments. It's not just with writing with a pencil or chiseling with a hammer or whatever. It's also anytime you say with in the Russian language, pretty much, you're going to use the instrumental case. So if you say, I went to the movies with my brother, that with my brother part goes in the instrumental case, right? He's not an instrument, obviously, but yeah, just anytime you say with, we use instrumental. But I think I just like to point out that that's why it's called the instrumental case, is it kind of came out of that concept of using with and using an instrument to do something. So anyway, that's the main use of the instrumental case. There are a couple other secondary ones, just like all the other cases, but it's mostly when we say with. Okay, so let's see how the book breaks it down for us here, and then we'll get into looking at the endings and all that. So let's read this aloud. Мы с Анной думали пойти в кафе «Минутка». Не хочешь пойти с нами? Мы с Анной, Anna and I. So that is, and this word "s" means with. Okay, so keep your eye out for that, because anytime we see that, that's a good tip-off that we're going to be using instrumental case. Anna and I, literally we with Anna, but that's how it's expressed in Russian. Anna and I were thinking to go to the cafe Minutka. Do you want to go with us? С нами, with us. So again, that's instrumental case. Давайте возьмем суп с рыбой. Let's order the soup with fish. Soup с рыбой. Soup with fish. Instrumental case. And by the way, that's another way that instrumental is used all the time. Not just with instruments, not just with doing something with another person, but also with food when we talk about ingredients. So, if you say pizza with cheese and pepperoni, soup with vegetables, coffee with milk and sugar, right? Anytime you're saying food with ingredients, we're going to say with, we're going to use instrumental case. How about я возьму кофе с молоком? I'll take coffee with milk. So coffee с молоком, coffee with milk, and here the word молоко goes into the instrumental case, молоком. Можно сделать пиццу с колбасой или с мясом? You can make pizza with sausage or with meat. So с колбасой, с мясом. That is instrumental. So the instrumental case is used after the preposition с, together with or with. The English phrase, and this is a kind of another usage of it here. This is just kind of a side note, but the English phrase so and I, like for example, Mark and I, Sarah and I, my friend and I, whatever, so and I, is almost always used in this way. Мы с, plus the instrumental case. So, мы с Анной, Anna and I. Мы с Максимом, Maxime and I. Мы с вами, you and I. Which sounds a little funny to us, because if you translate it literally, you're saying мы с Анной. Literally, word for word, that's we with Anna. But I think if you really think about it, you can see the logic there, because it is a we. It's you're talking about yourself with someone else, so that's a we. And you're specifying with who, right? So we say in English, Anna and I. That would be the better translation. But literally, word for word, it's we with Anna. Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at the endings. Go ahead and hit pause here, and read out the masculine and neuter. So this is the nouns first, and then we'll look at the adjectives. Masculine and neuter gets the same, feminine nouns and plural nouns. Okay, now that you've done that, we have masculine and neuter nouns go to om, yem, and a very rare occasionally they'll go to yom. But journal becomes journalem, pismo, pismom, музей, музеем, платье, платьем. Okay. Школа, so feminines go to oy or ye, and only, very rarely yoi, but oye, omiem, ojej, and ami, yummy. So школа, школой, кухня, кухней. Okay. Journal in the plural becomes журналами. Письмо, письмами. Школа, школами. Музей, музеями. Платье, платьями. So on. So ami, ami. Omyem, oye, ami, yummy. How about adjectives? In adjectives, we have im for masculine neuter, oye, feminine, and imi, plural. And they always give you the special modifiers. These are very similar to adjectives, but often they get the im instead of the im or something like that. So definitely take a moment to look at those. And they also give you the keywords or the pronouns. So what, что becomes чем, кто, кем, я, мной, ты, тобой, он, с ним, она, с ней, мы, с нами, вы, с вами, они, с ними. Okay. It's a lot of information all at once, right, guys? But we'll have a lot of time to absorb this. But let's give this a try. Just put this into action right away. Let's try 9/11. Okay, and of course reference back the charts to start to use this and see how it works. But 9/11, 9/12. Go ahead and hit pause. Let's do number 1 together first, just to get a feel for it. Put the words in parentheses into the instrumental case. So we will take, like this is what you would say at a restaurant. We will have coffee with hot milk. So, мы возьмем кофе с горячим молоком. So the word is, and the phrase is горячее молоко, hot milk, neuter adjective, neuter noun. And if you go up to the charts, you can see, well, a neuter or masculine noun goes to om or yem. So again, the om is the standard, yem is the alternative if there's a reason, like a 5-letter spelling rule or a softness. That doesn't apply here. So malakum, that makes sense. And then here, the adjectives are im or im. Well, this one's im because, so this one gets the alternative ending because it's 7-letter spelling rule. So it's gariachim malakum. Okay. Go ahead and hit pause here and give this a try. 9/11, 9/12. Okay, now that you've done that, let's take a look. So, we have я ем бутерброд с колбасой и горчицей. Я ем бутерброд. And note that almost all of these words are new words in the food section. So again, if you're looking at this and you're like, what are all of these words? Well, they're in our new vocabulary in the food section. So that's why we want to be working on memorizing those. But also flip back to those pages as you need to. So горчица. Okay, so I am eating a sandwich with sausage or ham and mustard. Горчица. And so we put here the feminine noun endings for instrumental case. We are cooking pizza with tomato sauce and cheese. Okay, мы готовим пиццу с томатным соусом и сыром. Okay, we are cooking pizza with, so instrumental case, right? Tomatnym sausem. Now this is the tomatny sauce is masculine. So sausom, masculine noun ending, and tomatnym, masculine adjective ending for instrumental. Tomatnym sausem. Да? Sir is cheese, right? Is also masculine, so we just add the masculine ending. Sirom. Okay, a couple more quickly. Let's make a salad with cabbage and carrot. Давайте сделаем салат с капустой и морковью. Okay. Feminine kapusta goes to kapustoi. Now, this, if you look at the chart, this one is the one little weird exception. With feminines ending in soft sign, they get this different ending, u. So if we look at the chart, see this titradiu, feminine titradiu. And there's a note here that says, feminine soft sign words take a special ending in soft sign u. Titradiu, nociu, kravatiu, and of course markovью is another one of those. So that one's a little bit challenging. Okay, so make sure to work through the rest of those. And, you know, the idea is we want to start using these instrumental endings. Now, these are all examples with food, because of course that's the topic of the chapter, but we can also use it with something like this. How about я ходил в кафе с... Oh, sorry guys. Crap. There we go. Брат и сестра. I went to the cafe with my brother and sister. What would that be? Take a minute and see if you can figure that out. So we're using instrumental because of with. We're putting brother and sister into instrumental. So я ходил в кафе с братом и сестрой. Да? Okay. Okay. So again, it can be used with food. It can be instrumental. It can be used with food, like ingredients, coffee with milk, pizza with cheese, whatever. It can be used with people. I'm going with this person, doing this thing with this person. It can be used with instruments, like writing with a pencil, and so on. And that's it for today. So those are those two topics, and yeah, I hope that was helpful. Reach out with any questions that you have.